How many times have you watched yet another video? Yet another. Saved another post. And still, you haven't taken the step that you already know. You already know God's been telling you to take. You're not stuck. You're not stuck because you don't know. You're stuck. I don't know. I've been in this place. Sometimes I'm in this place a fair bit. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder, I say, man, oh man. I do know. And maybe right now the scrolling feels safer than obeying. I'll watch another video. Dr. Sean is on. I'm just going to watch another video. I'm not going to watch that because I don't like how that makes me feel. Hey there. I hoped you were going to be here. Good to see you. There comes a moment where more information stops helping you. You're not confused about what's right. You're stalled at the threshold of obedience. The real question isn't, what do I believe? The real question is, what am I going to do now? Because delayed obedience, it doesn't stay neutral. It turns into fear wearing the mask of carefulness. Delay turns wisdom into a disguise for fear. I've been wanting to ask you this. Where are you at the threshold right now? Where are you at the threshold? Knowing exactly what the next right step is. This is the penultimate in our series, What Do I Do Now? And this season is about what followers the way do when the emotional highs, they fade and real life returns. Not drifting, not freezing, not outsourcing responsibility to more research. Learning to respond to God with faithful steps. Are you the type of person who can handle the tough questions? I'm curious about that because I hear people all the time talk about, hey, I want to handle the tough questions. I'm a tough questions person. Well, I accept that challenge. Here's your question. What's one area where you've been stuck in preparation instead of obedience? What's one area where you've been stuck in preparation instead of obedience? Here at True Word Faith for Life, we open the Bible through a Hebraic worldview in the ancient Near Eastern context so we can walk out faith in the real world. A reasonable question would be, reasonable for me. I don't know. You ask yourself this if you want. You and me may be different in this regard. What do you want God to realign? Hey, look, don't ask this question, by the way. Don't ask this question of yourself unless you want to know what the answer is. Unless you want to confront what the answer might be. All right, here it is. What do you want God to realign in you today? What do you want God to realign in you today? By the way, pick up my newest book, True Word Faith for Life, True Word Faith for Life. Get it at the store at truewordfaithforlife.com, truewordfaithforlife.com. That is truewordfaithforlife.com. It's written to help followers of the way move from knowing about the Bible to living the Bible. Living the Bible, orthopraxis. By the way, welcome everybody. Thank you for the sound. I appreciate that. Welcome to everyone in chat. I'm happy you're here too. Thank you to everyone. Yeah, I've got a lot of great sound texts here to let me know. And Miss Sharon, I'm so sorry you missed church this morning. I know how much you love the folks over there at Virginia Creek Campground Chapel. And we love the folks over there. They're wonderful people, Pastor Russ and Miss Kathy and so many of those over there. Just wonderful people, great friends. So, I guess I'm on a roll here. Well, maybe you're on a roll. Since you handled that tough question so well, let's try this one on for size. Where do you most need your faith to become practice? Where do you most need your faith to become practice right now? I wonder if you've ever, maybe you have. Have you ever heard of the threshold principle? Let me give you the core idea that makes this episode different. There are seasons when God doesn't give you more information. He gives you a threshold. And a threshold is that moment where the next step is clear, but the outcome isn't. A threshold is that exact moment where you know what the next step is. That's very clear. It's unmistakable. But the outcome of that next step command isn't. It's not clear at all. I would say this. That's where faith becomes faith. Amen? Any of you ever think of that? That's where faith becomes faith. If you only move when you can control the outcome, and maybe when you know the outcome, if you only move when you can control or that you know the outcome, that's not faith. Sorry. We're tight like this, so we tell each other the truth. If you only move when you can control the outcome, that's not faith. That's management. You're trying to manage God. In the Bible, thresholds show up constantly. Maybe you've lived through this, right? Maybe you've lived through this. Maybe for you, this isn't a foreign thing. The thresholds show up constantly. And you know what? It's tricky. It kind of goes like this. God speaks, and a person, that could be you, stands at the edge of change. And then the only question that matters is whether you'll trust him enough to move. The only question that matters at that point is whether or not you will trust God enough to move. Faith lives at the threshold, where clarity is present, but control isn't. Faith lives in that threshold where clarity is, it's there. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't have any control over what happens once I do that. None of us like this next between you and God question. This is a between you and God question. You can write it in the comments if you want, but this is between you and God. Where are you demanding control? when God is asking for trust? Where are you demanding control when God, he's asking you for trust? Why do we delay? Most believers don't delay. This is what I found. I don't know about you. Most believers don't delay because they hate God. They delay because they're trying to reduce risk. We call it being responsible, right? We call it being careful. We call it waiting on God. But sometimes it's not waiting. Sometimes it's not waiting on God or anything else. It's avoiding. And you know what? Here's 3 common delays that sound spiritual. They sound spiritual, but they aren't. Not at all. 1, well, I just need more confirmation. I'm looking for more confirmation. I would like for things to be more confirmed. Like I want to see the outcome. I want to see about 30 different areas where it's confirmed that God is asking me to do this specific thing. He's telling me, he's commanding me to do this specific thing. I need confirmation. Number 1, I need confirmation. I need more. Well, number 2, I need to feel peace first. Look, I need to feel peace first. That's something that I know I need is I need to feel peace. I need to feel that. I don't know. Is that you? You know you better than I know you. God knows you better than you know you. Next one. 3. You ready? If you're writing this down, I don't know if you are or you aren't. I need to understand the whole plan. Look, I'm going to obey. I'm going to do the thing, Lord. By the way, I'm not talking to you about someone coming to you in the church and saying, hey, I really think you ought to work in the nursery. I really think you ought to work over here. I really think you ought to be on the parking lot thing. I really think you ought to be on the security team. You know what? I've heard you sing. I've sat in front of you lots of times. I think you ought to be in the choir. You're right. Jess and family too. You're right. The I part when it's about him and not us. Gosh, I'm so glad to have all of you here. What a wonderful thing. Good lands. What a blessing. I need to understand the whole plan. I got to understand the whole plan because, man, that's how I operate best. I operate best when I can understand the whole plan. When I understand the whole plan, I'm good to go, man. I'll get after it. In all the ways that I understand the plan, I will get after it. I'm telling you right now, you've never seen anybody get more after it than me. Getting after it. When I get the whole 132-page plan, I'm in like Flynn, man. We're going to be doing stuff everywhere. Stuff. Accomplishing this and doing that and jumping here and jumping there. Fixing this and fixing that. Solving problems. But I can't have peace. I can't have peace. By the way, if you're just coming into the broadcast now, you can go back at the end and start at the beginning. It's not a problem at all. And then some folks reached out to me and they said, "Hey man, I'm sorry I missed your live. I missed you live and I'm sorry I missed it. I really wanted to see that." Well, they didn't know that if you miss it live, you can come back. You can come back to it after the broadcast and you can start listening then. Which I wouldn't have known that before I got into this. I wouldn't have known that either. So if you miss the live, or let's say, you're like, oh, it's 7:00 and I've missed the first 30 minutes. No point in listening now. No point in watching now. Well, it's no biggie. You just go back at the end and get what you've missed. Also, the audio only, usually about 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes an hour after the broadcast, the upload of the audio only becomes available. So that's there for you. By the way, if you're listening on Rumble, I don't have that pulled up, so I can't see if you're making comments in the live chat. So I apologize, but I will come back and I'll answer all of your questions there. And if you're answering questions here, if however you're listening, which we've got people listening, Facebook, it looks like Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, LinkedIn, Quora X, got a bunch. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored. I was looking forward to seeing you all. You're like, I wish we could say the same about you. You know what? I've come to learn in my 60, weird number, right? 60. In my 60 years, I've come to learn that peace most often, if not always, follows surrender. Peace most often follows surrender. The other thing I learned, hard lessons, right? Right? These are hard lessons. We're not playing around with easy stuff here. And we're not playing around with fake stuff. But here's the other thing that I've learned. Peace usually comes after obedience. And the whole plan is rarely given to anyone. But covenant is relational, not transactional. Look, it's not a transaction. Okay, Lord, I'm going to obey so I can get that car I've been wanting. I am going to get that car because I want that car. And this is what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what, you give me the car. Here's what we're going to do. This is a deal between me, you. I need that job. So I'm going to obey this area. I'm going to turn this area over to you. If you do this for me first. Like I'd really appreciate it if you do this part first. And then I promise you, and we do it. Look, we bargain with God all the time when we get jammed up. And I've gotten jammed up. I've been in this place. People say, gosh, how do you still have so much faith in God? How come you're not angry over all of the, terrible injuries that you got in that crash, even the crash itself? Good lands, you weren't doing anything. And I always shock people with this answer. I deserved what I got. I deserve far worse. Right? I don't remember whole chunks of years before and after. There's whole big pieces of my life that I just don't remember. I have a brain injury. It's pretty severe. Spinal cord injury and a bunch of structural and internal damage. But the brain injury, it's not a matter of, that's a convenient excuse. I don't remember. I don't remember the bad stuff that I've done, and I don't remember the good stuff, if there's been any. So I've been on that side, the transactional side. I've been on that, making deals with God. Maybe you can identify with that. Maybe you can. I don't know. But here's what I've learned. If you need the whole plan, you don't want faith. You want insurance. If you need the whole plan, you don't want faith. That's not what you're looking for. That's not what you're looking for. If you say, I cannot obey without seeing the entire picture, you don't want faith. You want insurance. And you know what? I have used an awful lot of excuses to buy myself some time. I don't know, maybe in comments you can say whether or not you've been in that place too. But I have used so many excuses to buy myself some more time. So I have to ask, which delay have you been using the most? Which delay? Which tactic? Lord, I'm gonna do this. Listen here, I'm gonna do this thing, but here, look here. I have this skin affliction. Lord, I have this skin affliction. I'm uncomfortable being out in Publix. So what I'm going to do is when you clear up this skin afflictions, so I feel better, I'm going to be right up there up front like you asked me to. I'm going to be right up there up front. I'm going to be up there. Yes, you hear me of that. You know what I like? I like a new car. I would come up to the church and serve, but my wheels, as you know, they're not dependable. So, Lord, you get me those new wheels. And I will do it. I'm just going to wait on you. I'm going to wait on you. Which delay excuse have you been using most? Genesis 12, 1 through 4. We're going to start with the Lexham English Bible. The Lexham English Bible. And Yahweh said to Abram, go from your land and from your family to the land that I will show you. And Abram went as Yahweh had spoken to him. This is the NASB 2020. Now the Lord said to Abram, go forth from your country. Go forth from your country to the land which I will show you. It's over there. I'm going to show you. Oh, it might be over there. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you where it is now. You go where I will show you. It's like asking how high. Somebody tells you to jump, ask how high on the way up. To the land where I will show you. So Abram went away as the Lord had spoken to him. Now, the Complete Jewish Study Bible gets after it here. Adonai says to Avram, get yourself out of your country. Go to the land that I will show you. So Avram went as Adonai had said to him. Are you kidding me? He didn't see around the corners. He didn't even, look, I talked about this in the past few episodes. I've been dripping on you. I mean, I want you to think about this, what Avram did, Abram at this point, Avraham after God changed his name. Adonai said to Avram, get yourself out of your country. Out of your country. Place that you know, people that know you, doing commerce, a lot of friends, a lot of protection. a lot of security. Get yourself out of your country and go to the land that I will show you. So Avram went, as Adonai had said to him. Now, I don't think there was any delay. I don't think there was any delay at all. Now, how about some ancient Near Eastern culture context, language, culture, and context? Because you know I love that. So let's put Abram back in his world. Let's put Abram back in the ancient Near East where all this happened. In the ancient Near East, identity and survival were tied to clan. They were tied to land, clan, and household. Your identity was tied to the land that you had and you took care of and you managed. You worked the land, and then your clan, your people around you, your people. And then your close household. You know, I've talked about this a bunch of times. I don't know if y'all remember. Leaving your father's house meant leaving your safety net. You had to leave your safety net. You left everything. You left everything. It meant stepping away from protection and not for nothing inheritance and social cover. You know, we can look back on it. We can go, this is us reading the Bible. Just in case you don't have a regular Bible. You're like, yes, then Abraham went, okay, okay, yes, okay, Abraham went. Then what? The Lord said go, then Abraham went. Okay. What about us? What about us? What about me and you? We're tight like this. What about us? Put that question in the back of your mind, because we're now going to watch how God speaks to Abram. In Hebrew, this call is often summarized with the phrase, and it's a little tricky, Lech lecha, lech lecha. Lech lecha, lech lecha. It's pronounced lech lecha. It's not a casual invitation, folks. It's a decisive rupture with the old anchor points. It is an explosion of everything that you are comfortable with. Like this sweater. I love this sweater. How many years? I don't know, Miss Colleen. How many years have I had this? I don't know. 1 million. We're getting rid of stuff out of our house because we downsized to a very, very small house, and we didn't downsize our stuff. And so we're having to get rid of a lot of comfort things. And it's hard. I don't know about you, but it's difficult. It's a challenge for me. I'm getting better at it. But lech lecha, it's not a casual invitation. It's not well, all right, if you want to. Hey, I was just thinking, Abram, this is God. I was just thinking, if you want, maybe we just go. You just go over there. I don't know where over there. Maybe it's over there. I don't know. But you just go. I'll tell you, when you go. Oh, you have to leave everything, by the way. Yeah, but yeah, your people, everything. Yeah, your land too. I mean, you can't take your land with you. I mean, you take a jar of sand if you want, but I wouldn't even do that if I'm you. No, it's not casual. He says to do it. God says to do it. And how many times have he said, you do this. I talked last week about Miss Nancy. Dear Nancy, spoke a word into my life. Right? She spoke a word into my life. And, And I told you guys, I'm the last guy in the world who is like real emotional. The Lord gave me a word. The Lord spoke to me and said to tell you this or that. I'm not a real emotional guy in that regard. But I have to tell you this. This for Abram was a decisive rupture. I want you to think about, put yourself in that place. Put your heart in that place. Put your mind. Envision that place. He starts walking or riding. To where? I don't know. He doesn't know either. Put yourself there. Sean, what I want you to do, Lord speaking, Sean, what I want you to do is I want you to preach. Lord, I am not qualified to preach. I'll just tell you that right now, Lord. I'm disqualified. I mentioned it last week. I'm disqualified. I'm out. The old anchor points. I encountered ripping up the old anchor points again when Dr. Skip Moen entered my life through Masters as one of my professors. And I was at a decision point. I was at that decision point with Dr. Fry over certain Bibles that I carried. And then I was at that decision point, that anchor point. I had to rupture that anchor point when Dr. Frazier said, you got to learn the languages, man. You are never going to understand this. You're never going to be able to preach effectively and accurately if you don't learn the culture, context, and language. You're not. Until you know what they were saying, until you know what they were saying, what they were experiencing, till you know. Listen, you're not ever going to understand it. And you're not ever going to be able to accurately preach it. Maybe, have you gotten some not so casual invitations from God? Maybe it's more of a command for you. And maybe you're thinking right now of a decisive rupture with the old anchor points by simply obeying God. God doesn't tell Abram the destination up front. He says, to the land that I will show you. The word show carries the idea of God revealing as Abraham obeys. Don't miss that. Come on. The word show here, in its original language, the word show carries the idea of God revealing as Adam obeys. Covenant's built like that. God calls, man responds. God confirms along the way. Remember the manna, you got 1 day's worth. It says, don't store it up. I'm giving you 1 day's worth. I want you to learn what faith in me is. Tomorrow will be provided. How many of us have been there? Have you been there? I can't assume. Maybe your life's been a bowl of cherries. How many of you? Covenant is built like that. God calls, and we respond. And God confirms along the way. I call myself a follower of the way. When people ask, what denomination are you? I say, I'm a follower of the way. Well, are you Baptist? Are you Episcopal? Are you Catholic? Are you Jewish? What are you? No, I'm a follower of the way. Are you Protestant? Or are you Catholic? Or Jewish. I'm a follower of the way. The way. I follow the way. And I'm here to tell you, sitting here in front of you, woof, I have not always followed the way. And I've paid dearly for it. Not as much as I deserve to pay, I'm sure. God whispers to us in our pleasure, and he shouts to us in our pain. In covenant life, God reveals the map one step at a time. One step at a time. Since you're clearly an expert on answering challenging questions, you're great at answering challenging questions. I'm going to ask this one. Where's God asking you to step out of an old security, even if the new one isn't visible yet? If you on Wednesday, we're not going to, this is the penultimate, which means the one before the end. On Wednesday at 6:30, we're not going to do the last episode. Next Sunday, we're going to do the last episode of this series. And then I'm going to give you a lot of information about what the next series will be, which will start the following Wednesday, all of them at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm beyond excited about it. I'm telling you beyond. Spiritual warfare in you. What does it mean? What does it mean? How do we deal with it? What is it really? I'm looking forward to it. But this coming Wednesday, if the Lord preserves me, this coming Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., my son, Doyle, at, I don't know what time last night, Miss Colleen probably knows, it was late, and we talked like that, and he said, hey, have you ever done a show, a teaching, a sermon on Bible study, how to do it? Like, I highlight, this was him telling me, I highlight, things that seem like, oh yeah, that's really important with the highlighter. And then after a bit, I look back and I've highlighted a whole block of stuff. It's all yellow. It's all blue. It's all green. Then I don't know what that thing is that stood out. And then after a while, you do that long enough, your Bible looks like a box of Costco-sized bag of Skittles exploded all over your Bible. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to teach you my method. It's not my method. It's not some super secret thing. It's just the way I do it. I like doing it that way. And it's very helpful. He even mentioned, I used to not write in my Bible. And I gave him a new Bible for Christmas, and it's a premium Bible. You know how I feel about Bibles. It's a premium Bible. It's really, really nice. And so he was a little apprehensive to write in it. And so I've written all over my Bibles. I've got Bibles here, Bibles there, Bibles, turn that thing. There's 4 sides to it. Boom, writing in almost all of them. What can I tell you? I've written in every open space in some of those Bibles. There's a way to do it. There's a way to highlight. There's a way to certain things you do at certain times. This is just me. I'm just going to tell you what my method is. And some ideas of what you go into it with and the process. I believe that it's going to be a massive blessing to you. And I encourage you to tap in on that. Because I've had a lot of people tell me when I've shared it with them, not formally, but I did teach it in Bible college. I taught a what we call firsties class, very new Christians, how to study the Bible. And so I'd written a lot of it. So I was up till 3:47 in the morning writing the rough draft for it. Thanks, Doyle. No, I appreciate it. I love that he reached out to me and asked me if I'd ever taught on that. And so I was so compelled with it, I just couldn't go to sleep until I'd done the outline. I'm going to say this. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? Prayer. Praying out loud, praying in public, praying in front of someone else. I know lots of folks who are absolutely and utterly terrified to pray in front of another person, let alone a bunch of people. Where is God asking you to step out of an old security, being silent, passing to the next person, even if the new one isn't visible yet? Maybe God is going to reveal to you beautiful and amazing things if you step out of that old security. And by maybe, I mean definitely. Even if you don't see the new one yet, even if you don't see what that new anchor point is, tell me in comments below. Where is God asking you to step out of an old security, even if the new one isn't visible yet? I ask myself the following question at least once a week. At least once a week. I ask myself this, so I'm going to ask you. Why not? Have you ever delayed obedience because you were waiting to feel ready? Have you ever delayed obedience because you were waiting to feel ready? I did. I told you. Since I was 16 years old, God had called me to preach. I said no. No. And I tried to disqualify myself from it all along the way. I told you last week, I ended up in a divorce. I said, well, there you go. I'm completely disqualified now. Why? Because I'd been told that that's what it meant. Check out my series on divorce, what the Bible actually says about divorce, what Jesus actually said about divorce. I think you'll be enlightened. Have you ever delayed obedience because you were waiting to feel ready? Now, I am going to ask you to answer this one in comments. Now, I want you write that question down. Ask yourself, have I ever delayed obedience because I was waiting to feel ready? And then I want you to pray about it. I want you to think about it, not for a week, not for 5 hours. I'm talking at the end of this episode in comments on YouTube or Rumble, the YouTube or Rumble channel. If you're not a subscriber or a follower to YouTube or Rumble channel, True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Sean, True Word Faith for Life with Dr. Sean, Rumble, YouTube. It's free. It's free. Click on the little bell, hit the notifications for all notifications. That way you know if I'm going to come up with a show. Boop, you get a notification. Bada boom, bada bing. It's free. And then I want you to answer this question. Have I ever delayed obedience because I was waiting to feel ready? And explain it if you want. Now here's the thing. Do it for the person who watches this episode. And right now, they're trying to get the courage up to type their answer into the comments. You type yours and inspire theirs. Lead by example. Readiness is often called the child of obedience, not the parent of it. You might want to write that down. Readiness is often the child of obedience, not the parent of it. Think that one through. Now, here's another question. You do what you want with it. You can answer it publicly. You can answer it between you and God. You can send me a note, whatever you want to do. What have you postponed while calling it wisdom? What have you postponed while calling it wisdom? Let me make this painfully practical. If you're at a threshold, you need a framework. Here it is. Here it is. You might want to write these down. Now, tomorrow I'm going to, I did post. I posted it yesterday. If you go to truewordfaithforlife.com, 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 a bazillion free resources there. We don't, whatever it is, data mine you. I don't know how. It's free. Everything's free there. I did it. I did it so that you don't have to pay. However, you go there under blog, you'll see blog and study guide, They're generally very, very detailed. Go there. Maybe leave your comment there. By the way, you can also do a review there. Wouldn't kill you. If this is blessing you, go there, take a few minutes, do a review. You have no idea what it means. By the way, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, first of all, thank you. And second of all, if you like what you're hearing, if you wouldn't mind, do a review. It doesn't have to be some verbose thing. It doesn't have to be a book. It doesn't have to be a dissertation. It could be just, I like the show. Guy's really ugly, but I like the show. That's why I listen to the audio. I can't. Look at his face. You're thinking to yourself, why didn't they fix his face in the crash? Look, if you're at a threshold, you need a framework. That's how we work. That's how we operate in who we are. We need a framework. And here it is. It's only 3 moves in order, right? Now, 3 moves you pick and choose. 3 moves in order. You ready? First, name the next obedient step in 1 sentence. Name the next obedient step. Your next obedient step in 1 sentence. By the way, not 5 steps. This isn't 5 steps. This is 3 moves. This is 3 steps. 5 steps. No. 3. Not 5. Not 10. Not 4. 3. 3. Step 1 is name the next obedient step. 1 step. The next 1 obedient step in 1 sentence. Second, put it on a 24-hour clock. Tick tock, tick tock, ding, 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 ding. Set 24 hours. You set yourself 24. Look, you do it on this. Easy peasy. Here's my beautiful Buckeye. See her? She's beautiful. God rest her soul. She's in heaven. I say she's an angel that returned to heaven. 14 years I had that dog. Wow. Put it on a 24-hour clock. Listen, if you don't put it on a clock, you won't do it. We won't do it. That's not how we operate. Put it on a clock. Put it on your phone. Set it on your Alexa. I can't say it. She'll say, hey, I'll do this. Put it on a clock. Set an alarm. Title it. Name it. If it matters and it's from God, it doesn't need months of delay. There's no ready, aim, 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 aim. No. Third, you ain't going to like this one. You sure ain't going to like this one. You're not going to like this one. I guarantee you won't like this one. And some of you might say, probably not on the outside voice, but on the inside voice, some of you might say, hey, you know what? I'll do the other ones. I'm not doing that one. That's none of anybody's business. That's none of anybody's business. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing step 3. You want it to work? Do it this way. Do it exactly as I've described to you. Third, here's the one you ain't gonna like. Attach it to a witness. Attach those prior 2 things to a witness. A friend, a spouse, a mentor, a pastor. Someone real. Someone who can ask you tomorrow. Did you do it? Did you do it? Sean, did you do it? Hey, I texted you about 35 times. You didn't answer my text. So I'm calling you. Then I called you. You didn't answer 3 or 4 or 5 of my calls. So guess what I did? I drove over to your house, rang your doorbell. Did you do it? Did you do it? This is how you turn faith from inspiration to obedience. I'm telling you. Look, you've got to make a plan for dreams to come true. And faith, look, people say, I want stronger faith. I want strong faith that lifts me and blah, 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 and all these things. Listen, this is how you turn faith from inspiration to obedience. And let me tell you what it'll do for you. A named step, a short clock, and a real witness turns faith into motion. I've experienced this in my own life. And I've had people. Thank you, Miss Sharon. Miss Sharon says it's an excellent site, loads of information. You are so kind. A named step. Don't be obscure. Don't be ambiguous. Name it. A short clock. A short clock, 24 hours, not 36 or 48 or 72, 24. And a real witness. That turns faith into motion, folks. What is your one sentence next step? Your one sentence next step, if you're brave enough. Put it in comments on Rumble, on the Rumble channel, on the YouTube channel. And watch how people respond. And if you're listening on Facebook or X, put it in the comments. Click like or love or gosh, she's ugly. But put it in the comments. What is your one sentence next step? James 1, 22 through 25. We all love these. We love to quote these because it's easy to quote. But prove yourselves doers of the word. This is NASB 2020. But prove yourselves doers of the word and not just hearers who deceive themselves, but the one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of freedom, and continues in it. This person will be blessed in what he does. Now, the Complete Jewish Study Bible renders it like this. Don't deceive yourselves by only hearing what the Lord says, what the word says, capital W, but do it. Whoever looks intently into the perfect Torah, which gives freedom, and continues doing it, will be blessed in what he does. James is writing to a scattered, pressured community. They've got stress, opposition, spiritual fatigue, and he says something that cuts right through the fog. It's possible to listen. It's possible to listen and even agree and still be deceived. True enough. But how? By confusing hearing with obeying. James ties blessing not to what you felt in a moment, but to what you did in obedience. James ties blessing not to what you felt in that moment, that whipped up emotionalism moment, but to what you did in obedience when the worship music isn't great. The worship music isn't great. They're all nice people, very sweet, but it's not great. The sound isn't great. They're not always on pitch. It's not super professional. They don't have super professional equipment. And so that emotion, that whipped up emotion that you get from listening to the music, which I love the music, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying to you, if you're depending on emotion, what you feel in a moment, no. What you did. Blessing is tied not to what you feel, but what you did in obedience. My friends, that's what I call a threshold statement. You can stand in front of the mirror of the Bible and admire it. You can absolutely stand in front of you can stim. I wish it's too far away. I'm getting yanked off. I got my cord's not long enough to go over there and get one. You can stand in front of the mirror of the Bible. The mirror of the Bible, what it shows, and you can admire it. Or you can keep it and you can do it. You might want to write this down. Agreement isn't discipleship. Obedience is. Agreement isn't discipleship. Obedience is. So, with that truth in mind, maybe answer in the comments below, where have you been mistaking agreement for obedience? That's a tough question. It's a tough question. It takes a lot of honesty. You got to look at yourself, say, self, where have I been mistaking agreement for obedience? Oh. You put pen to paper. You put fingers to keyboard. Makes it real. Where have I been mistaking agreement for obedience? Folks, if this episode is strengthening your walk, go deeper at truewordfaithforlife.com. You're going to find resources there to help you grow into consistent covenant faithfulness as a follower of the way. Now, a real get to your soul question now. You can do with it what you want. Hey, I'm not going to come to your house. I'm not going to come to your house and say, well, did you do it? Well, how about the answer to this question? I'm not going to do it. This is a get to your soul question here. What would intentional discipleship look like in your daily routine? What would intentional discipleship look like in your daily routine? Faith isn't a feeling. It's a step. A step isn't talk. It's a do. Faith is not a feeling. It's a step. And a step isn't talk. It's a do. A threshold is where the next step is clear, but the outcome isn't. Delay turns wisdom into a disguise for fear. A named step, a short clock, and a real witness turns faith into motion. So the question for you to answer, not ponder, answer is, which line do you need to live by this week? Which line of the Bible do you need to live by this week? Which step do you need to live by this week? Which command do you need to live by this week? Not some far off in the distance. This week. I have for you today a challenge and a choice. Here's your challenge. Here's your challenge. In the next 24 hours, take one clear step you already know God's been pressing on you. Make the call you've been avoiding. Send the apology that you don't want to make, but God commands you to send. Set the boundary. Set the boundary. You know what boundaries I'm talking about. You're feeling them right now. You're looking at yourself going, I don't want to. I don't want to set the boundary because that means I'm going to have to do without something that I've grown accustomed to, even if it's bad. Even if it's suboptimal for me, I'm accustomed to it. It's my blankie. In the next 24 hours, take one clear step you already know God's been pressing on you. You know it. It's running through your mind verbatim right now. You're seeing the picture in your mind. You already know what God's been pressing in on you. Make the call that you have been at that phone. You've pulled up the person's contact and you start to press the little button and then you stop it. And you pray to God, I hope that didn't go through. So they see me in their recent calls, their missed call. And then if it accidentally goes through and you pray, oh Lord, please don't let them call me back. Hey, I saw you called me. Make the call. Make the call you've been avoiding. Send the apology that you don't want to make because you don't want to apologize. You don't want to acknowledge, I did this wrong and I'm so terribly sorry. God has commanded you to send that apology, but you have been fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. And then set the boundary. Oh, my lands, folks. We get accustomed to the thing that becomes our blankie. And even though that blankie's all torn and it smells and it's foul, we know it. We're comfortable with it. The next one you're not going to love. This is the challenge. Ain't no point in a challenge being easy. Stop the lie coming out of your mouth the second it crosses your lips. Look, stop the lie the second it comes out of your mouth. As soon as it crosses your lips, go, but actually, you know what? That's not true. Here is the truth. And if somebody gives you a million questions, why'd you say it if it wasn't true? That's why I'm correcting it. Don't be defensive. Just say, so I'm trying to do better about being exact, being completely truthful. And look, a lot of people struggle with lying. Stop the lie the second it comes out of your mouth. And then start the discipline. Talk is cheap, man. You've talked all kinds of plans, all kinds of preparation, all kinds of, I did this and I set it out and I mapped it out and I did this and I looked up this and that, and then you don't do it. Some of you have done that with resolutions, New Year's resolutions. Okay, this year this one I'm going to exercise. This one I'm going to eat well. This one I'm going to go for a WALK every day. 3 days a week, 1 day a week. Never. I'm going to give up sugar. I'm going to give up drinking. That leads me to this one. Listen, by the way, as far as starting the discipline, no, stop talking about it. Stop with all the elaborate plans. I'm going to this and I'm going to that. And you say, well, I got to buy this and buy that. And as soon as I get this and that and the other thing, then I will do it. Start the discipline. And you know what those are. You're seeing the picture in your own mind. Now, the next one, stop the habit. The hurt, habit, or hang up, stop it. You know it's hurting you and you know it's hurting your relationship with God, stop it. Whatever it may be, substance abuse, alcohol, the P word, lying as a habit. being completely and totally unreliable, not keeping your promises, making promises and not keeping them. Doesn't matter if you intended to keep the promise, doesn't matter. And you developed a habit. Hey, this is who, hey, so-and-so, you know what? If he or she ever promises you something, don't bank on it. Because let me tell you something, they're not going to come through. Don't be that person. Stop it. The next one, look, I'm 60 years old. I don't know how old you are. I've never asked you. This question gets no easier the older I get and the older you get. Ask for help. Ask for help. None of us like asking for help, but swallow your pride and ask. Open the Bible and obey the one thing God has been repeating to you. Ask for help. Swallow the stupid pride and ask for help. And then open the Bible and obey the one thing God's been repeating to you. Start your good habits, your good discipline on that. And here's the choice. Here's the choice. You can keep gathering information. You can keep planning things out. You can keep big old outline, vision board. Keep doing all that and you can call it wisdom. Look, this is the wise way to go about it. Or you can move in obedience and meet God at the threshold. Obedience, my friends. It isn't a mood. Obedience is not a mood. It's a direction. Now, speaking of obedience, what is the one step you will take in the next 24 hours? Not at some non-existent point in the never arriving, nebulous, super obscure future today. What's the one step you will take in the next 24 hours? Today. Folks, before we pray, here's the plain truth. Some of you listening right now aren't just standing at a threshold of obedience. You're standing at the threshold of surrender. You believe God is real. You do. You believe God is real. You respect Yeshua, Jesus. You agree with the Bible. But as we just learned, agreement is not discipleship. And belief without surrender doesn't lead to life. Faith begins where control ends. I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I don't know. The last 2 episodes. Faith begins where control ends. And if you're honest with yourself and God, you know you've been trying to follow Jesus while still trying to manage your own life. You've wanted God's help without God's authority. You've wanted God's help without God's authority. And you know what? Deep down, you know it hasn't brought you a bit of peace. Jesus doesn't ask you to add him to your life. Jesus doesn't ask you to add him to your life. He gives you. He asks you. He asks you. Listen, if you want to write this down, I believe it will help you. Jesus doesn't ask you to add him to your life. He asks you to give him your life. This is the most important threshold you will ever stand at in your life. Not a better habit, not a religious adjustment, a surrender, a simple surrender. And if you're tired of delay, you're tired of fear dressed up as wisdom, tired of standing still while God keeps calling you forward, then this moment right here is for you. Right now, you can step out of control and into life, not because you're ready, but because God is faithful. And if you're ready to trust him, pray with me. Let's make heaven crowded. Father, I know I've sinned and I need your mercy. I believe Jesus died for me, was buried and rose again. And today I turn from my sin and I place my trust in him as my Lord and as my King. Forgive me. Make me new and fill me with your Spirit. From this day forward, I want to follow you. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed that prayer today, I want to welcome you into the family of God. This is the most important decision you will ever make. And you don't have to walk this road all by yourself. I've helped so many take their first steps as followers of Jesus, and I would be honored to walk with you as well. I'll answer your questions. You reach out to me directly through truewordfaithforlife.com. Click on the contact button, type it out. I'm the only one that can read it. Listen, you aren't alone. Allow me to walk with you in the way. By the way, you can leave me a voice message as well. Click on the little microphone. It's only 2 minutes, and it doesn't tell me, give me all your information. You have to type that in under the contact. So if you do the microphone, they're your 2 minutes, make them count, and you have to let me know how to get a hold of you. And as soon as I receive either of those messages, I will absolutely get back with you. Look, this is what I live for, literally what I live for. I have to ask the next question, folks. I have to ask this because this is what it is about. Who do you know that needs this invitation to come home to God? Who is in your mind? I know people are popping in your mind right now. Their face is right. You can see it plainly. And you know they need this invitation to come home to God. Before we close, share this with someone who is stuck at a threshold. Your share might be the moment, the very moment that God uses to move them forward. Someone's breakthrough might be on the other side of your share. Who comes to mind right now? What's your one step? What is your one step of obedience in the next 24 hours? Tell me in the comments below. Listen, stand at the threshold and choose trust. Take the step that you can take. Leave the outcomes to God and watch him meet you in motion. Listen, until this coming Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I teach you how to study the Bible. And not even for Bible nerds, right? I'm a Bible nerd. I'm talking about how to study the Bible effectively. Not just, how do you mark and all that stuff, but how do you do it where it sticks? What's the smartest way to do it? How do we go about it? I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And until then, shalom, shalom. Shalom b'shem Yeshua.